Well, welcome to our talk this evening. My name, first of all, is Mary Huber, Reverend Mary Huber, the chaplain, or we have the chapel of the Community Center of Holistic Healing. And we have been established in 1977 by Reverend Michelle Luson, a mystic and channel for the higher dimensional consciousness, multidimensional consciousness. And this evening, our title is In God We Trust. We always begin with our affirmations of faith, hope, and charity. I believe in the spirit that is my physical embodiment. I have faith in the supreme guidance of my soul for my balance, my needs, and my opportunities. Outside of myself, there are also perfect images, and nothing can delude my thinking otherwise. The hope affirmation. Acknowledging my faith in the omnipresence of my divinity, I hope for realization, awareness, and acknowledgement of the existence of the great I am within myself. A charity affirmation. In understanding faith, in knowing hope, I pledge my actions, my desires, and my thoughts to the performances of myself on the physical planes of the earth, to honor, to love, and to enlighten all that is a reflection of the divine outside myself, so that my perfection is imaged back to my Creator. So help me God. All right. I will repeat some things that you all know. So those who are attending our chapel service this evening are quite aware of some of the material that I'm going to represent, but it is in the effort of posting it, and I'm hoping that other people will also enjoy this background. I had originally sent this out as the title being The Temple of the Red Dragon, and we would review some of the material from there. The Temple of the Red Dragon is the consciousness or the awareness of that we have here as a metaphysical community of reincarnation. And we found that through our pastor who established this with her great channel, we were all involved at one time or another in 5,000 years ago in our soul's evolution in the Temple of the Red Dragon, along with her. And from that consciousness, level of consciousness that started an evolution of the world at that time of redemption, of atonement first. We were also, as a group, traveling through time and our experiences in different planes of existence, but this plane particularly. And our next big one was in the Essenes at the beginning of the temple of the redemption period. And we're back now in this period where we have labeled it, or Michelle had labeled it as that of transformation. And that time is well upon us. We have all, as souls, decided to re-enter at this time to support the last phase of humanity's evolution back to God, back to the Christ. And this period of time is as important as the other two. It is just more important in many ways that we make it through this. And so we gather as a group that we have called ourselves the Temple of the Red Dragon group to send light to the government of the United States to lift the consciousness of those who govern at any level in this country so that they can be more enlightened in their decision-making processes and what they are promoting. And this began well before the inauguration. And we really realize now that with all that's going on, we need to continue as a group to do this work, spiritual work. So we're proceeding there. And this past few days after the inauguration happened, my sister and another family member came to me in severe distress about this political change. I mean, I was very kind of, well, taken back a bit because they were very, very upset about this country and their fears for what's happening. Now, these are two people whom I thought were well aware of the predictions. Certainly, we talked about it for years, and that this was going to be the end of an era and the beginning of the new, and that where changes were coming. But I was just very surprised by these particular people who were upset, so upset that I was alarmed. So the ascension of the whole humanity that needs to raise itself up, it's been called going up from a third dimensional energy form or frequency to the fifth dimensional energy, where the Christ consciousness is really banded there. It's in like in different bands of energy. And this old third dimensional world, which is a much lower frequency, in which humanity has been living all of this time, and in which it has made its overwhelming errors in distancing humanity from the calling of the divine to the divine plan. So that this is how it's proceeding. And they were very aware of this, but it impacted upon them I guess, in ways that they didn't expect. So as we're going into a higher frequency, which is the permanent connection to the Christ consciousness, and the behaviors that ensue from that way of thinking and understanding. And I know, I mean, even, for myself, I talk to other people along the way, and it's difficult to not be caught up in some things periodically. And I'm aware of that. And this is why I'm so happy to have been able to speak with them, because we do need to support each other in our awareness that we have to stay focused on being in light and grounding that light as to the best of our ability, and staying focused in a higher dimensional way that we know is coming. And we know that human behavior tends to resist change when confronted with uncomfortable truths. So I'm not sure what triggered them, but there was a very uncomfortable truth that came out somehow. But all of that is really, we are coming to understand that change must happen, and also understand that we are all capable of changing. So, because as we move through eternity, on any plane of existence, we experience new realities and have to adapt. That's always been so. And because this is evolution, and that means constant change. So spiritually, if we are not changing and adapting, we're not growing. And it is a great desire of our souls to continue to grow. Now, I have been assured by Spirit on a number of occasions that this is the plan from on high to restore the world eventually to its original peaceful, loving creation. However, the many truths of what these errors were would have to surface before humanity could deal with them and get beyond them. And these were all things that were mostly hidden from a lot of humanity. I don't think there were many people who were aware of all of that was going on, because all institutions, political and non-political, were corrupted in many ways and were working against the greater good of humankind many times throughout the times that we have been here on the planet. There's been a wave up and down on that, but, I think all the errors that people have committed in their judgment and what their execution was, kind of kept building up. And the people who had been heavily participating in the old world structure and had gained substantially from it are probably the most vocal in resisting the change. Now, it's not true that all who gain materially along the way are those people, but there are enough of them that you can see what the most resistive ones are, because they're afraid they're going to lose something, I'm sure. But we can't go down that road with them. We can't go down a negative road. And so seeing my own family's reactions, it became evident that even those who are eager to go on to higher dimensions and have been working on themselves spiritually have been unprepared for what the rooting up of evil would actually mean, and how it would look. I mean, none of us really knew it. We knew it was coming, but when it finally gets here, we get to see what it really means. But my spiritual input told me that many people, what they're going through right now, actually believe that this is literally the end of the world, which surprised me because I haven't heard that from anybody. But I could see where, if you have not thought about this before, that this might be something that would be affecting people. So, but what we're going through now is just a change that has been foretold and which is necessary. It is those of great light who will gradually rebuild the new world of harmony and peace and understanding. And I want to remind most people who will be listening to this that we are those of great light. So by resisting the fear of this period and the many fears of this period, we greatly affect other humans and promote their ability to be more thoughtful and measured in their responses. We just can't afford those knee-jerk negative emotional reactions anymore. It is for us to align ourselves with our Creator through prayer, and by going within in meditation to seek one's own higher guidance, where the path will be shown clearly. Fear, I have been told, is the spiritual virus of humanity and the emotion through which evil has controlled individuals throughout time. We all are learning to be self-disciplined and focus on positive thoughts, positive actions, and positive outcomes. I'd like you to remember that the greeting to humans when angels appear and is fear not. And it's important that we remember that. Fear not. See yourself in God, protected by light and wrapped in that great light. Now, I understand that the light has already conquered darkness on the inner planes. They have been battling this for a long time to get this into the alignment that it's in right now. And what happens above happens below. And so on the higher planes of God's creation, all of that has been settled, but it takes time to filter down to the physical, and then for the human family to have to make their adjustments and responses. And it's going to be at least the next half dozen years or so that this is called a transition period. Of course, it's not going to abruptly end at the end of 5 or 6 years. It's going to have to continue to make its adjustments. So that's going to continue until it's completed. So the important thing is that we stay connected to God and trust in God. Our future depends on this. If we would choose to ascend to the higher consciousness and the higher dimensions of the Christ who lives in you and me is waiting to make this our permanent goal. Seek ye first the kingdom, and all else shall be given to us. So the advice is to stop looking outward and being frightened by what you think is happening. Look inward and know that all those millions in the country who are also trusting in God are joined with you on the inner planes. We are all heading to a glorious conclusion in Christ. I'd like to have a bit of discussion about this after our meditation, because those are the salient points that we addressed in our Red Dragon meetings. And for our meditation, I'd like to take you to your heart again, because what has been given to us to understand over and over again is that only love will conquer all. So I always begin by taking us to our heart. So if you will take your position in your chair that is most comfortable and begin to take your deep breaths to bring your alignment to a focus within, letting go of all that's around you and any concerns you have for whatever's going on around you. And with each deep breath, bring the light in. Always bring it in through the top of the head to the heart. And as you're exhaling, you can distribute it over your body, and you're bathing yourself in light as you are also relaxing. And we do that until we feel that we have achieved that lovely inner point where everything else fades away. And we're comfortably behind our closed eyes. And there in our mind's eye, we now see ourselves rising to our feet and going to our front door. As you open the door, there before you is the pathway that you take to get to the area that you designate as your heart. It can be anything you have designated, and I suggest it's pretty much the same all the time, because this is easier and easier to do when you see the same scene unfolding. And as you now approach the area, there's an entryway of some sort, and you go within. And it is something that is vast and beautiful. It's exquisite in every way. Your heart has no end to the dimension of it. And the beauty of it can even be described, but we apply our imagination to bring the beauty that we know to this place. Because it's much, much more than this, than we can imagine. And you can look around in this space and see the familiar things you've placed there before. You can bring in something new with you now. Imagine it is created. Use your creative imagination for this beautiful alignment. This is not the meditation. This is your approaching God. You always go through beauty and light and loveliness to get there. It's a place of great, great treasure. As you now finish your tour around this place, you find the center place where there is your great, beautiful altar. And on the altar is the golden tabernacle, pure gold with beautiful fine etchings in it. And behind that door is the end of the silver cord that attaches at birth there from your I am presence and stays there throughout this earthly life. There you find your creator, the living presence of your creator is there within your heart. And you kneel before God. And you rise to your feet. And from here will be the pathway that you take. Taking with you the loving presence of all those who have gathered round you from the higher dimensions, the light beings who have filled this heart center. This is where you meet. You meet them there in love. They draw very close to you during the day when you are in a loving relationship to yourself and your world. And from here, you can send in any way you envision from here on out. It is your journey from your heart to humanity to lift not only the government, but all people in however you want to envision your role on the inner planes. You are accompanied always. And you begin to return to your heart. From the realms of the great dimensional realities that you have visited, with the assistance of the angelic beings and the great masters, they accompany you back to your heart. You enter and find yourself before your altar again. The altar where the threefold flame exists: divine love, divine power, and divine wisdom of the Godhead. And again, you kneel before your altar and thank God for the opportunity to help humanity in its upward journey toward the Christ. We ask to be strengthened in our resolution to remain calm and to always engage with the understanding that the positive Christ light and the amount of love we give will be our journey, that it will sustain us and take us forward. And when you're finished there, you are accompanied by your angelic presence, and all those who accompany you throughout life are going with you toward the entryway of the heart, and now in the path that the path you took to get there, you return on the same path and go to your front door. And on opening the door, you begin to reintegrate into this three-dimensional existence within your body. More of the lower dimensional consciousness returns. And as you take your seat, you are fully returned, opening your eyes and back. And I'm going to stop the recording at this point.